Hey everyone, I'm Nick. This is my 2011 Mercedes E-Class, and if you're wondering why the window isn't all the way down, it's because it's broken. I was rolling it up, and when it got to the top I heard a big crack and the sound of pieces falling inside the door, and then it stopped working properly. In this video, I'm going to open up the door, find out what happened, and fix it. So let's get started. Alright, so to remove the door panel, we're going to remove the tweeter, we're going to remove this trim over here, there's a pin here, 2 screws under this panel down here, and then clips all the way around. So pop that out. This trim unclips here. Pop that out in the corner here. Once you get to the back, lift it up. It comes out. We'll be using a T30 bit, needle nose pliers, and a trim tool. You remove this pin. Got to pull that center part out with the pliers, and then reinstall it. Turned 90 degrees, and that'll pop this out. Lower the panel down here. And once this is off, we need to disconnect the cable for the door handle, 1 speaker plug, and 2 plugs on the module. At least that's how it is on the other side. Gotta lift it over the lock. It's that cable there, you pull the blue tube back and out, and then you can unhook it there. And we have speaker cable down there, and 1 harness with 2 connectors to the module there. Now we are gonna need to bring the door panel back once in a while to move the window up and down. But let's see what we can find out right here. So I can pop these out and take a look. It does look like the window is held in to the mounts on both ends. And that tells me that we may be in a situation where the regulator inside is broken. Because I think the way it works is there's a cable that runs across, and if it snaps off one side, the window doesn't move properly. All right, let's take a look inside with the borescope. It's actually right here, you can see one of the cable guides. There's a pulley there, another cable guide, there's another pulley right there. Oops. The green one there. To get a better view, I'm going to remove the speaker. Now this one's actually already been replaced, and we put in Riv-nuts on the corners, but the factory one is riveted, so you would have to drill out the rivets to get access through here. I'm going to connect the door panel again to raise the window up and down and see if I can get any more information about where things aren't working. Let's see. Ooh, this sounds like it could be the gears in here. Okay, that's not driving anything anymore. So we'll pull down so it works in one direction but not the other, so maybe the cable broke off at one end, it can only pull it down. So I'm not gonna move anything any further. So I think our next step is to remove the motor and take a look. Oh yeah, there it is. Yep, that bound up, huh? So I think the motor's good. Looks good, but this is not. So maybe the crack I heard was this popping out, and then it just started binding up. So you can see this cable, it's a little damaged because it got pinched. But what happened, I think, is it's supposed to run down this way and then ride on the outside of this tan gear. And go back out this way, presumably. And it just popped out, so that must have been the crack I heard. It went, popped out. I don't know what fell inside, so I think we're gonna need to replace the mechanism. It's jammed up right there. It's a few days later. I ended up ordering a replacement regulator, but now the challenge is to get the window up so I can unbolt it from the mechanism, slide it up, and secure it out of the way. That way you can remove this whole panel and replace the regulator. So what I'm thinking, since the window is binding at this height, is maybe I can cut the wire that crosses over, and that should free it up to move. Hopefully it'll free it up to move. Just have to be careful that it doesn't just drop down. I mean, I guess it would just slide along the tracks, which is okay. So I'm gonna grab my little cutters to hold the window, and inside the track back here, I can feel the cable. So I'm gonna try to get that and then cut through it, so hold the glass. The other option would be to drill out the rivets for the window regulator and the panel, and then separate it with the panel off. But I'm worried about smashing into the glass and then having more to replace. So, okay, there we go. See one piece here, careful at this point, it's metal cable, and we can slide it up, perfect. The track has just enough resistance that it doesn't just drop down, which is awesome. And now we got our bolts visible right here. Now, obviously, if you're not replacing the window regulator, do not do that, because the regulator is completely unusable at this point, but it already was. I think these are T30s. Yep. You don't have to remove the bolt all the way, just enough for it to drop off. Actually, before I remove this one, I'm gonna get my tape I'm gonna use to secure the window closed. I'm actually gonna use crash wrap. I can make a big strip. It's gonna have a lot of grip on here. Bit messy, but consider this. It's gonna hold it up. And once we have the new regulator in, we can remove it, slide it down into place, and tighten it up. And as we get ready to remove this entire panel, you want to disconnect the electrical connectors. I've already separated this here from the clip right here. That pops out. This audio cable can come out of here, just split. And we have two connectors that come from the body here. So the yellow one and this white one here. Then on this side, we'll have to keep an eye out for the connector for the door handle. But since this whole assembly holds the window regulator and the door lock, we're gonna have to undo these three bolts here. So these two and this one, and the door handle on the other side. And for the door handle, there's a Torx screw behind this cover. So pop this cover out. And we need to use a long Torx screwdriver in there to loosen a captive bolt. And removing that bolt will allow us to remove this piece, disconnect the electrical connector in here, and slide the handle out. There's a connector right here. Slide it back and out. So just close, pull it, then slide it out. And right here we have a T20 screw here, and right behind this gasket as well. So carefully work this gasket out of the way. You see that slides forward. We'll leave this screwed in. We should be able to unhook them when the time comes, when we remove the panel inside. You can actually see, you can just leave it back here, unhooked from all that. These here should be T30s. Now we have to make a decision on whether we drill out the rivets for the regulator now or once the panel is off the car. Since we don't want to bend the panel before putting it back on, I think I'm going to try to do it on the car. So drill out these three and these two. Then we'll drill out the rivets for the door panel. If you did want to replace this all as one unit, you can get it from Mercedes. It's almost $600, but the aftermarket regulator replacement is about $75. So it's up to you. Either way, you're gonna have to drill out some rivets. So I'm using a 5/16 drill bit. You could use 8mm. They're about the same size. So let's give it a try. There we go, okay. All right, I'm gonna repeat that for the other 5. All right, that's the regulator separated. Now we could do the other rivets all around. Now it's time to remove the panel from the door. There should be sealant around the edge. Yep, I can feel it. I'm gonna get some gloves so I don't cut myself. Ooh, okay. Oh. Oh, there's a connector up here. Let's disconnect for the mirror. It's black and white. And this just lifts out. Oh, careful, the panel is sharp. And we're out. You can remove the old window regulator. And we're also going to work on getting all the rivet bits out. So we're going to use the shop vac to get those out too. Looks like something plastic broke somewhere too. Here you can actually see the piece that holds the back of the window broke. Maybe this is part of it. So we got a new regulator from Link Forwarder. Flip this over here and align the new regulator. You can see the top of the window mounting points. Those are going to face up. And the way this piece here slots in will only fit one way. So we're going to align that. I'm going to cut this zip tie and snap it in. And then we'll rivet the two rails in. You can see here where it mounts. The same thing right here. Now this kit only came with 4 rivets, but I also bought some spares for the window regulator. And then we'll also need new rivets for the panel. Let's flip this over and get it started. Attached. I'm going to put the last one in here from my extra rivets. I'll mount it up. Looks good. Instead of putting regular rivets back in, I'm actually putting Riv-nuts, so this can be a lot more serviceable, but ultimately it'll be up to you what you want to put back in. The size for regular rivets, the 1/4 inch works, so that's good to keep in mind. I'm going to keep working around here with these Riv-nuts. All right, let's line this back up. Slide this in. While putting the assembly back in, I had to make sure the window is high up enough to clear the regulator. Then I installed the motor, which I guess I could have done ahead of time too. Now we're going to get the panel. Well, let's plug this in real quick. These connectors here. And I'm going to put these screws in. All right, I'm going to get the door panel. I'm going to lower the regulator to here so I can adjust it. The good news is that seems to be working, which is great. Since the motor and the new regulator work, I removed the tape on the window and slotted the window into the mounts and tightened them up. Let's make sure the window is back. Okay. If it's not moving smoothly, check the position and use some lubricant if needed. Let's get the bolts in here. This just pops in here. And this one here. Plug this back in. Then tighten up the captive T20 screw that locks in the handle. Little cap back on. All right, now let's get the speaker back in. Depending on how you did it, you drilled out the rivets or you just left it in the panel. So let's get this popped in here. Let's get this back in this clip, clipped in. There we go. I think that's everything here. Yep. And now let's mount the panel back in. So that's gonna be door handle. It's gonna go over this. We'll leave the tweeter out. And there's another speaker right here. Then we have a little retainer here. There are two T30 screws in the door here. Trim piece. There we go. We get this trim back in. Slide it down here, down here. Put in the tweeter. There was some adhesive residue and a lot of smudges on the window, so the last step is to give it a good clean. And for the final test, everything's working smoothly. After many cuts on my fingers, we have a working window again. I will say it's nice to have a metal moisture barrier in the door, but on the flip side, it's also really sharp, so be careful while you're working on this. If this video helped you out, don't forget to like it and to hype it. And if you want to see more videos like this, well, there's plenty more coming because I have too many cars. Thanks for watching, and toodaloo!